You can be filled with pain. You so much pain that you begin to overflow. And that's what tears are. They're the overflowing of the heart with something. You can have tears of joy, and that's when the heart is filled with joy, so it overflows. You can have meaning so powerful that you're so overwhelmed by it that you start to overflow. That's what tears are. They're overflowing inside your souls of meaning. Negative, positive, spiritual, material, but meaning. So this is a great gift that we have, this tradition that we have. And there's people that want to reduce Islam to two-dimensional Islam. They want to reduce it, or one-dimensional. They want to make it Islam without Iman and Ihsan. Or they want to make it Iman without Islam and Ihsan. Or they want to make it Ihsan without Iman and Islam. Or they want to make it Ihsan and Iman without Islam. You can't. It's a holistic, it's a three-legged stool. You have to have all three for it to stand. Right? You cannot have one without the other. And this is why if Islam becomes divested of its spirituality, it becomes a shell. You have to have ihsan. And you have to have iman. And you can't have ihsan without iman and Islam, really, in reality. But there are people that will want to try to make it that. Islam's spiritual. Islam's here, brother. It's in the heart. No, iman is in the heart. Islam is it's an outward thing, sharia. It's doing outward thing. Anybody can be a munafiq, can be a Muslim, but he can't be a mu'min, because mu'min is an interior reality that reflects on the exterior. And then ihsan is the depth dimension. It's what gives you, the iman gives you the height. Islam gives you the breadth, but ihsan gives you the depth. And that's why what you witness here is ihsan, because these were people of ihsan. And these were great people of ihsan. And so it's, I just, to a few statements in conclusion, one of the things, all of us are on a journey. This is the nature of life on earth. You came into the world, Allah, one of His names, everything is a tajalli of Allah. All these names are manifesting in the world, everywhere. He's huwa zahirun. He's outwardly manifest. His names are manifesting themselves before us. He's the muntaqim. He's the afu. He's the ghafoor. Inshallah, you're going to do the names in these coming days. But He's qahirun fawqa ibadihi, and His qahar is powerful. Like He is the overwhelming, the overpowering. And part of being overwhelmed is that you came into the world and Allah has put you here. And you're on a journey, whether you like it or not. Some people don't want to go on a journey, but they're forced to. Right? They're forced to go on a journey. We're on a journey, whether you like it or not. And the journey has marahil. It has stations. And there's a road in front of you. And then there's diversions. Do you see? But the problem with the diversions is that they won't get you to your goal, but you still end up going on that final journey. You're just not prepared. The diversions will always put you back, but without the provision you needed to really make the journey. So there's all these diversions, and Shaitan is just sitting there on the road. He's got everything too. I mean, this is Shaitan's heyday. He's never had more tools than he has today. It used to be ghiba, you needed another person with you. Now all you have to have is a cell phone or the internet. You can be anywhere and do ghiba. It used to be you had to have another person. Now anywhere you go, you've got the tools for ghiba. Just right there. You have the tools for namima. So also like that is your time, the amount of time you use. Everybody needs lahu. The Prophet ﷺ, he permitted it in certain times. The Sahaba used to have times of recreation. Recreation is an important part of life. But it's how much time you're wasting. Because you need some time, downtime. You have to have it. You have to sleep. They're eating also. And then there has to be that time just where your mind is. You can't read all the time. You'll get sick. Really, you will. If you read all the time, you can't read all the time. And if you know how to read, if you're doing serious reading, you can't read Serious reading is more tiring than just empty reading. Reading for tasliya, just for entertainment. Like thinking about what you're reading takes a lot of energy. So people waste time. It's a human condition. But Allah tells us, وَلَا تُسْرِفُوا, not to be people of israf. وَلَا تُبَذِّرْ تَبْذِيرًا. Don't be people of tabdhir. إِنَّ الْمُبَذِّرِينَ كَانَ إِخْوَانَ الشَّيَاطِينَ. Because the mubadhirin, the consumers, are brethren of the shayateen, right? People that yubadhiru, they waste, just consume things. أَهْلَكْتُ مَالًا لُبَدًا. The man boasts, I have spent vast amounts of wealth. أَهْلَكْتُ, like I destroyed it, consumed it. Right? One of the old English words for the devil is the consumer, because he consumes souls. And that's what this modern world is doing with people, is just consuming them. They're wasted away. Really, if you look out there, especially where people don't have ibadah anymore, you see the vacuity of the faces. You can see the emptiness. You can see the pain. There's a lot of suffering. And you shouldn't look at these people with contempt. Muslims have traditionally looked with compassion. It's arrogance to have this view of superiority because, they don't worship or they don't know. Who you should have told them. Uqba bin Nafi', when he arrived to the ocean of the Atlantic, they say he had his horse ride into the ocean as the waves were hitting his horse. He said to Allah, "Oh Allah, if I knew there were people on the other side of this ocean, I would build ships to take your religion to them." And that was the himmah of the early Muslims. And that was the himmah of these people also, to take Islam. And the great people of tassawwuf who spread Islam in India and went into the little villages with the Hindus where they're worshipping idols and things like that, and they taught them about Islam. This time that we have, leisure, in the traditional sense of the word. Joseph Pieper, a great German philosopher, wrote a book called Leisure. And what he argues is that leisure is the foundation of civilization. The time to think. It is the time to cultivate the mind and the spirit. That is what leisure is. Leisure comes from a Latin word which means license. It's a permission. It's the time where you're permitted to do the things you were created to do fully. This is precious time. It's free time. You're people of leisure right now. We have people serving us. You look at those people. They're serving us. Look with the eye of love to those people, because without them we couldn't do what we're doing. We would be busy doing those things. And so what an honor to be amongst people that Allah allows this time to be afforded to us, to cultivate our minds and our spirits, to try to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What a gift. Just Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, hamdan yuwafi ni'amahu yukafi mazida. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, hamdan yuwafi ni'amahu yukafi mazida. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, hamdan yuwafi ni'amahu wa yukafi mazida. The Prophet said, if you say that 3 times in the morning and the evening, then if you say it sincerely from your heart, it's enough of gratitude to Allah. But really, be in a state of gratitude to Allah, because this is just such a blessing to be afforded this leisure time to cultivate our spirits and our minds, especially before Ramadan, because this is going to be an excellent preparation. Inshallah, this will be the best Ramadan that we have. May Allah give us a beautiful Ramadan and a beautiful Shabaan. We're going to be here. A nice thing also about the Sunni country, this Sunni country, is they really honor the traditional days. Like the Nus Shabaan is a big night, It's a big night. I'll tell you, there's a khilaf about it, which is fine. It's a khilaf. Imam Malik did not practice Shabaan, Nus Shabaan. Imam Malik himself, he didn't. The hadiths were from the people of Sham. Al-Awza'i considered it a big night. The Sham ulama of the Tabi'een all elevated Nus Shabaan. But it spread throughout the world, and the Malikis ended up celebrating it. Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah, rahimahullah radiyallahu anhu, he said that al-Islam kulluha rahma, فَإِذَا انْتَقَرَتْ مِنَ الرَّحْمَةِ إِلَى ضِدِّهَا لَيْسَ مِنَ الْإِسْلام. Islam is all mercy. So if it goes from mercy to its opposite, it's not from Islam. He said, Al-Islamu hikmah, kulluha hikmah. فإذا انتقلت من الحكمة إلى ضدها فليس من الإسلام. Islam is all wisdom. So if it goes from wisdom to its opposite, it's not from Islam. He said, Al-Islamu adlun, kulluhu adlun. فإذا انتقل من العدل إلى الجور ليس من الإسلام. He said that Islam is justice. It's all justice. So if it goes from justice to its opposite, then it's not from Islam.
You mentioned, you quoted Ibn Rushd.
Yeah.
And you said if there's an ikhtilaaf, if you can just...
There's an ikhtilaaf, a valid ikhtilaaf amongst the ulama about something that involves the rahmah of Allah. Like he used it as the example of the qira'ah. Some of the ulama say you can recite for the dead and give it as charity to them. And some say you can't. Because there's a hadith, إِذَا مَاتِ ابْنُ آدَمَ انْقَطَعَ مِنْ عَمْرِهِ إِلَّا مِنْ ثَلَاثٍ. And some of them apply that hadith to the idea of qira'ah. So some say you can do a khatam of Quran and give the thawab to a dead person. And that's a khilaf. The majority of ulama say that you can, and that it does benefit the dead. But Ibn Rushd said this is a khilaf about the rahmah of Allah. And so when there's a khilaf about the rahmah, he said, it's better to assume the rahmah side of it. Because ma qadrullah haqqa qadrihi, they don't really give Allah His true estimate. Rahmati wasi'at kulli. So that was the point. So in a lot of these things, there's a khilaf about many things in Islam. They're not for, the majority of ulama permit the Mawlid. And some don't. There are some valid ulama that just, they didn't like it. But they didn't say not to celebrate. You have to celebrate the Mawlid. If you're not happy that he was born, you're a kafir. So you have to celebrate, because Mawlid means makan and zaman. It's ism makan and zaman. You have to be happy. Ihtifal bil Mawlid. You have to have ihtifal in your heart that the Prophet was born. And you should love the place he was born, which is Mecca. You have to. So وَنَحْتَفِلُ بِمَكَّةَ بِمَوْلِدِهِ يعني. We have to. But the idea of specifying a day, like the 12th of Rabi' al-Awwal, and having formal things as a thing, some of the ulama said the early people didn't do it, let's not do it. But the vast majority, historically, said it was, and they had their proofs. The Mawlid of Isa is in the Quran. Surah Maryam is clearly celebrating his birth. And when the man asked the Prophet if I could fast on Mondays, he said, Fihi wuridtu. In other words, it's a good day. I was born on that day, so it's a good day. That's in Sahih Muslim. So it's saying it's an auspicious day. Just because he was born in that day, it's an auspicious day. And so he was acknowledging in the question of that man that one of the blessings of Monday is that was the day he was born. And so, the ulama have their proofs on both sides, but it's a khilaf that shouldn't be an issue amongst Muslims. And this is part of the problem of modern Islam, and pre-modern as well, but part of just provincial Islam. Let's call it provincial Islam. Part of the problem with provincial Islam is people want to impose their view about something on everybody. And if it's a matter of ijtihad, you can't do that. It's, al-mukhtalifu fihi la yunkaru. Something that has ikhtilaaf is not condemned by Sharia. That's a qaida fiqhiyya. It's a universal principle in Islam. Al-mukhtalifu fihi la yunkaru. Yunkar al-mujma' alayh. Now the ulama do have caveats about that qaida. If you're living in a country where the majority is following one school, like Morocco, where traditionally it was a Maliki country, and people started doing things that were against the urf, then they said, in those type of situations, you could tell them not to do it. But generally, especially in our time now, we have to go for the most compassionate view. Because one of the maqasid of Islam, the 6 universals, or 5, however you want to look at the nasab and the i'rb, but the 6 universals of Islam, the first one is protection of the deen. That's the first one, is to protect the deen. Now, there are things in the past that you did to protect the deen that today would actually cause the opposite to happen. And this takes understanding. If you applied apostasy laws today, it would have the opposite effect of what it had in the past. In the past, everybody believed, they were actually glad to see an apostate gone. Right? So religions had apostasy law, they applied them, right? But if you applied the apostasy laws today, you'll drive people out of the religion. It has the opposite effect. Sayyidina Umar suspended the cutting off of the hand during drought because people would do things in those situations, and he understood that the hifz al-nafs was over hifz al-mal. And so they were stealing because they were just trying to protect themselves. And so he suspended one for the other. So hifz al-deen, right, to protect the deen, you have to look at what, and this is hikmah, maqasid, looking at the intentions of the sharia. And so, in this time you have to look, and just allow for a lot of rahmah. You should always have that, but particularly now because you drive people away from the religion. And I've seen this happen. People drive people out of Islam. I've seen converts driven out of Islam, personally. And then a lot of Muslims say, oh, khalas. Islam. He'll be his advocate with Allah on Yawm al-Qiyamah. In other words, don't burn him because he was mistreated by the Muslims. He didn't know what my religion was. He only knew the foul deeds of people that claim to be my followers. The Prophet is an advocate of rahmah. And if there's a reason to have always look for excuses for people. The Prophet ﷺ said that the hypocrite looks for faults and the believer looks for excuses. Right? 70. يَلْتَمِسُ سَبْعِينَ عُذْرًا for his brother. 70 excuses for his brother. Whereas the munafiq, just right away they go to the worst thinking. Because that's in their heart. That's their reality. They're just projecting onto the other their own reality.